The store was busy in the quiet way, carts rolling softly, scanners beeping, people lost in their lists. I was standing near the checkout waiting for a price check when I noticed a woman tapping her foot with sharp impatience. She wore expensive sunglasses indoors and held her phone like it was a badge of authority. At first, she looked like every other annoyed shopper. Then she sighed loudly, again and again, making sure everyone could hear. Ahead of her was a young cashier, barely out of training, hands moving carefully as she scanned items. One item didn't ring up. The screen froze. The cashier apologized, her voice small but polite, and called for help. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The woman leaned forward and snapped that she was in a hurry, that this always happened, that people like this shouldn't be allowed to waste paying customers' time. The words landed heavy. A few heads turned. The cashier's face flushed red as she tried to explain the system was slow today. Her explanation only made things worse. The woman raised her voice, accusing the cashier of being incompetent, lazy, and disrespectful. She demanded a manager, waving her phone like she was already recording. The line behind us stiffened, tension spreading like a crack in glass. Someone whispered that it was getting out of hand. Someone else quietly stepped back. Then something unexpected happened. A man from the next register spoke up, calm but firm, asking the woman to relax and let the cashier do her job. For a split second, the store went silent. Even the beeping stopped. The woman turned toward him slowly, sunglasses sliding down her nose, eyes sharp with offense. That look said everything. This was no longer about a price check. This was about control, pride, and a public audience. The air felt tight, like a storm about to break, and nobody realized how fast it was about to explode. No one moved. Not the guards, not the manager, not the customers gripping carts. Phones hovered half-raised, unsure. The cashier swallowed, blinking fast while the man waited, unflinching. The woman inhaled sharply, chest rising, as if choosing between backing down or striking back, and the choice hung dangerously. Seconds stretching, hearts pounding around everyone without warning. Consequences forming, unseen, nearby, ready, close. The woman laughed first, a short, sharp sound that cut through the silence like glass snapping. She pointed at the man and asked who he thought he was, claiming he had no right to speak to her. Her voice rose with every word, echoing off the tall shelves. The calm atmosphere of the store vanished completely, replaced by the uncomfortable awareness that something bad was unfolding in real time. The man kept his tone even. He said everyone was waiting, that mistakes happen, and that yelling wouldn't fix a frozen screen. That restraint only fueled her anger. She accused him of siding with incompetence and declared that people like him were the reason standards were dropping everywhere. A few customers shifted closer, curiosity overpowering caution. The cashier tried to interrupt, softly saying the manager was on the way. The woman ignored her completely, stepping out of line and invading the cashier's space. That's when a security guard finally started walking over, hand resting near his radio. His presence should have calmed things. Instead, it escalated them faster than anyone expected. The woman spun toward the guard and demanded he remove the man for harassment. The guard asked her to lower her voice. That single request lit the fuse. She shouted that she was being threatened, that this store was violating her rights, that she would have everyone fired. Her phone was now fully raised, recording, narrating her own version of events to an invisible audience. The man sighed, shaking his head, and turned away, trying to disengage. That should have ended it. Instead, she lunged forward and grabbed his sleeve, accusing him of trying to escape accountability. Gasps rippled through the line. The guard stepped between them, voice firm now, ordering her to let go. For a moment, it seemed like she might. Then she shoved the guard's arm aside. That single motion changed everything. Radios crackled. Another guard appeared from the aisle. The manager rushed in, eyes wide, already overwhelmed by what she was walking into. The woman screamed that she was being assaulted, even as the guards tried to create space. The man backed away, palms up, clearly done. Shoppers began pulling out phones openly now. Someone whispered that the police were being called. The cashier stood frozen, tears pooling, forgotten at her register. Sirens were faint at first, distant and unreal, but growing louder by the second. The woman's confidence wavered for the first time as she realized this was no longer just a scene she controlled. The store felt smaller, louder, trapped in the moment. What started as impatience had turned into something far more serious, and there was no rewinding it now. The sirens grew louder, slicing through the noise inside the store and changing the mood instantly. What once felt like a dramatic argument now carried real consequences. The woman's shouting faltered, her words stumbling as she looked around and realized everyone was watching, recording, judging. The guard stood firm, creating a barrier between her and the man, while the manager tried desperately to restore order. "Ma'am, please step back," the manager said, forcing calm into her voice. "The police are on their way." Those words landed harder than any insult. The woman scoffed at first, pretending she wasn't worried, but her hands betrayed her, shaking slightly as she adjusted her phone. She switched tactics, lowering her tone and claiming she felt unsafe, blaming the man, the guards, the store, anyone but herself. The man spoke again, quieter now, explaining exactly what had happened from the beginning. His voice was steady, clear, and it carried. People in line nodded along, murmuring agreement. A woman behind me whispered that she had seen everything and was willing to tell the police. That's when the balance truly shifted. The cashier finally broke down, tears spilling as the adrenaline wore off. The manager guided her away from the register, apologizing over and over. Seeing the cashier cry seemed to snap something in the crowd. Sympathy replaced shock. The woman noticed it too, and panic flickered across her face. She tried to leave, pushing past a cart, insisting she was done shopping anyway. A guard calmly blocked the exit, informing her she needed to wait. That word, wait, ignited her again. She screamed that she was being detained illegally, that this would go viral, that she knew her rights. The doors slid open automatically as police officers entered, their presence heavy and undeniable. The store went quiet in a way that felt unnatural, like everyone was holding their breath at once. One officer spoke to the guards while another approached the woman, asking her to explain what happened. She launched into a fast, emotional story, pointing wildly, skipping details, exaggerating others. The officer listened without interrupting, then turned to the man, the cashier, the manager, and several customers. Statements were taken, videos were shown. The truth pieced itself together calmly, methodically. With every replayed clip, the woman shrank, her confidence draining. Her voice softened, then cracked, then stopped altogether. When the officer finally spoke again, his tone was firm but controlled. He asked her to turn around. Handcuffs clicked shut, loud and final. Gasps filled the store. The woman protested weakly as she was escorted out, her phone dangling uselessly at her side. The doors closed behind her, and the store exhaled. But the story wasn't over yet, not even close. After the doors closed, the store felt strangely hollow, like the echo of the chaos was still bouncing between the aisles. People stood frozen for a few seconds, unsure if it was really over. Then conversations exploded all at once. Everyone had something to say, a detail they noticed, a moment they caught on camera, an opinion they couldn't keep to themselves. The police remained inside, finishing reports and calming the situation. One officer spoke quietly with the manager, while another checked on the cashier who sat in the break area wrapped in a borrowed jacket. Her hands trembled as she tried to sip water. The adrenaline crash hit her hard, and the weight of what almost spiraled out of control settled in. The man who had spoken up leaned against a counter, visibly shaken but relieved. A few customers approached him, thanking him for stepping in, telling him he did the right thing. He shrugged it off, saying anyone should stand up when someone's being treated unfairly. Still, his voice cracked slightly when he said it. Proof that courage doesn't cancel fear. Employees began resetting the checkout lane, restarting systems, restoring normalcy piece by piece. The beeping returned. Carts rolled again. But something had changed. Every person there would remember this day. A routine errand had turned into a lesson about how fast entitlement can become destruction. Outside, through the glass doors, the woman could be seen near the police car, arguing one last time before being placed inside. Her confidence was completely gone now, replaced by disbelief and anger aimed at everything but herself. A small crowd watched from inside, silent, no cheers, no satisfaction, just the quiet realization of consequences. The manager addressed the line, apologizing for the delay and thanking everyone for their patience. Some shoppers left without buying anything, emotionally drained. Others stayed, determined to finish what they came for. Life didn't stop, but it limped forward. Later, when the store finally returned to its normal rhythm, employees gathered in whispers. Stories were retold, each version slightly different, but the core remained the same. A moment of unchecked rage, a refusal to wait, a belief that rules didn't apply. The cashier returned to her register by the end of her shift. She stood a little straighter now, supported by co-workers and strangers who had her back. The experience scared her, but it also showed her something powerful. She wasn't alone. And just when it seemed like the incident would fade into another unbelievable story, a phone buzzed. Then another. Clips from the store were already spreading online. Captions flying, opinions igniting. The encounter wasn't ending at the store doors. It was only beginning in a much bigger arena. By the next morning, the video was everywhere. Short clips, slowed moments, bold captions, and dramatic music flooded social feeds. Millions of strangers weighed in on an argument they hadn't witnessed firsthand, but felt strongly about anyway. Some praised the man for speaking up. Others focused on the cashier, calling her the real victim. The woman's face, once hidden behind sunglasses, was now frozen in thumbnails she couldn't escape. The store released a brief statement, carefully worded, confirming cooperation with authorities and support for their employee. They didn't name anyone. They didn't need to. The internet had already done that work, digging into backgrounds, speculating, arguing, turning a single bad decision into a public identity. The man went back to his normal life, though nothing felt normal anymore. Co-workers recognized him. Friends sent links. He avoided comment sections, knowing how quickly praise could turn into blame. He hadn't planned to be part of a viral moment. He had just reacted, instinctively, to something that felt wrong. The cashier took a few days off. When she returned, customers were kinder than usual, offering smiles, small words of encouragement. One woman hugged her without saying anything. That silent support meant more than any comment online. She learned that fear doesn't disappear, but it can be met with strength you didn't know you had. As for the woman, details emerged slowly. Charges were filed. Court dates were set. Her attempts to explain herself were met with skepticism. The same audience she tried to perform for had turned against her. Every shout, every grab, every lie replayed endlessly. Stripped of context she wished she could rewrite. The store encounter became a talking point, then a lesson, then a warning. Commentators debated customer entitlement, worker respect, bystander responsibility. People said, "I would never act like that," without realizing how close anger always sits beneath impatience. Weeks later, the video faded, replaced by the next outrage, the next clip, the next story. But for the people inside that store, it never fully disappeared. They carried it quietly, a reminder of how fast normal can break, and how choices made in seconds can echo for years. All it took was one frozen screen, one raised voice, one refusal to wait. That's how fast it escalated. Faster than anyone expected. Type yes if you